according to the Polaris Teen Center, 1 in 5 teenagers ages 12 to 18 have a mental health issue. And my name is Konrad, and this is my senior project about how mental health, or how you can improve your mental health through forging and having a hobby. So I've never really had mental health issues. I just needed a way to get this thing greenlit so I could have a final project. So I started forging in with Dr. Namie's intercession sophomore year. I really liked it, so I decided that for my final project I should use the forge that I got last summer to form my final project, which I built. So the stand I built with a friend, Riley King. He and I loaned it all together, and then we started forging. And so I really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a good way to relax and kind of escape from everything for a little bit, just working on forging. And yeah, it was just nice to work with my hands. And then so for some of the research for this, I found this quote, and it's, finding fulfilling hobby or vocation can also be a lifeline. This can provide an important source of personal meaning and value, which I very much agree with. It was like the sense of accomplishment when you see something you've made with your own hands was really great, and it's just really fulfilling to create something from just a hunk of metal. And so for my community connection hours, I taught a couple of my friends just kind of the general basics of forging, which was way harder than I expected. I got a little, it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And so pretty much what I did is I just taught them, how to hold a hammer and how to use the anvil, and just kind of let them run with it and try to help them if they looked like they were getting stuck on something they wanted to do. And so we have Jackson Weber here, Joel Tavis, and then Wyatt Weber here. And so they all had a blast doing it. It was a really good time to hang out. And yeah, it was really fun. And then so for my final projects, I made this set of tongs out of a piece of rebar. And it took a while because the ends kept melting off in the forge, and I had to pretty much restart from scratch. And getting to the rivet to fit and the ends to have a good fit up was just a nightmare. And then in the middle, my maker's mark, I made out of the same piece, just cut off from the same piece of rebar. I just used a couple files and a hand Dremel to put a K in it, and my initials are KK, so I figured it'd be just a good maker's mark. And then here was a chisel, or also called a hot cut for forging, which I made out of the head of a golf club I found on the side of the road pretty much. So I did some grinding on it and then forged it down, which took way longer than I expected. And then did some finishing grinding on it. And then in conclusion, I'm not saying everyone should start forging, but I would suggest that you find a hobby that you enjoy and kind of run with it, because it certainly helps. Thank you for your time. Any questions? Autumn?
So for your community hours, did your friends, did they make something?
They just messed around with some scrap metal, which I let them, well, they didn't really have a place to put it, so I just kind of kept it. Sophia?
How long does it take to make the tongs?
The tongs, that took probably 15 plus hours total.
Will you continue forging as a hobby?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it expensive to do, Konrad?
Not really, because most of it is, the most expensive part was just the coal pot and the anvil, and those those weren't like terribly expensive. And like this metal's just like scrap metal that you can't just kind of find.
Awesome. All right, thank you very much.